Good morning. It's good to see you all. Thank you. Wherever and whenever you are. To those of you who are here in the sanctuary and to those of you who are watching this from your home or vacation, it's good to be with you. Excuse me. I'm Hillary Clark, and I'm one of a team of worship associates that have the honor of serving South Church along with our interim minister, Reverend Susan Sahusky Brown, our Director of Lifespan Ministry, Kirsten Hunter, who is up here and will be delivering the sermon today, and all our wonderful staff, those who are here in the sanctuary and those who are behind the scenes in the office. We have a more detailed thank you in the order of service, so please check that out. We all work together to bring you services each Sunday. Currently, we're offering one Sunday service at 10 a.m. here in the sanctuary, and we are also live streaming it, and it is available anytime on YouTube. If you need a listening device, you can access those in the back of the sanctuary, or you can ask an usher. Today, our time for all ages will be provided by Reverend Susan, and after the story, all children are invited downstairs to join Jen Del Deo for RE. The music today is offered by the mother-daughter duo, Susan and Madeline Adams, Johnny Pfeiffer, our Director of Music Ministry, and members of the South Church Choir. And now we will have announcements by Jen Del Deo.
Oh boy, now I'm nervous. Okay, announcements. Today, immediately following worship, the Pocket Garden Tour Committee will be out in the narthex and portico area selling blooms. For $25, you'll be listed on a special board by the check-in table. In addition to your name, your list can include your business name or the name of someone you would like to honor or remember. Mother's Day is coming up, so what a great way to honor the mother figure in your life. Cash, check, and credit card are accepted, and for those of you at home who might not make it to church, you can purchase a bloom on the South Church website by navigating to the Pocket Garden Tour page. And again at 4 p.m. today, there will be a peace rally for Ukraine in Market Square. Attendees are invited to bring signs and flags, wear blue and yellow, and come to the square to rally for peace. And now we have an announcement from the Ministerial Search Committee.
Thank you and good morning. I was thinking this morning that it was just about 3 years ago that people who wanted to be considered for the search committee filled out an application and submitted it. So for the past 3 years, our group has been working to bring a new minister to South Church. And we are pleased and excited to tell you we have a match. We can't tell you this minister's name yet because there are things that need to be processed first, like background checks and contract negotiation, and they have to tell their congregation they're leaving. So we can't announce that. Hopefully it'll be really soon, but for today we can't tell you this person's name. We can tell you that this person is a very well-respected and experienced minister in the UUA, and that they will bring a whole new way to look at things to South Church, and that we will be lucky to have this person as our minister, as they will be to have South Church as their church.
So this is just such a fun announcement, we're just going to go on with it. So at this point, the Ministerial Search Committee has worked for countless hours talking to you all, members of the congregation, and doing surveys and cottage meetings and committee meetings. And we've looked at this point, the ministerial record of dozens of amazing ministers in our faith from all across the country. We've spent probably hundreds of hours of watching sermons of ministers from all throughout the country, different backgrounds and different dispositions. And this person who we believe that we're going to call here at South Church is really, truly the best person to fit our community at this time in our rich, long history. So we're really, really looking forward to introducing this person to you.
And while we cannot reveal this minister's identity just yet, there is something that you can look forward to. Soon in your newsflash, there will be an article titled, "How to Nurture a Minister." And we would like you to read that and be thinking about how you can assist with that. And also in the newsflash, there will be information about Candidating Week, which will be coming up very soon, early May, we hope. And there will be lots of ways for you to be involved in that. So while our job as a search team is starting to come to an end, and I see one of our members sitting right over here, Jennifer Wilhelm, would you just raise your hand, who's kind of shy and didn't want to get up here. And two of our members, Jim Verschuren and Charlie Murdoch, could not be here today because of family matters. While our job is kind of winding down, the job for all of us is just beginning. It's so important that as the information comes out about this person, that you take some time and really read through it, maybe visit their website. And the candidating week will be in May, in early May, and we'll announce the date just as soon as we possibly can. But the minister will be preaching twice in two Sundays, and the week in between will be meeting with groups and of us nonstop. So try to take advantage of that time and get to know them, because after the second time they preach, we'll be meeting as a congregation to vote, and that vote is so important to a minister. So that all lies ahead of us, but I cannot end this announcement without huge thanks to Reverend Susan and Kirsten for the enormous amount of support that they've given us through this process, and the amount and how beautifully they have steered our ship as a congregation through one of the most challenging times that churches of all denominations have faced. So please join me.
I just want to also please stay standing and please also appreciate this committee who, one sec, before you start. These folks had no idea when they took on the charge of being a search committee that they would be doing it in a pandemic, They had no idea that it would last for 3 years. They had no idea that it would go through the transitions that it has gone through. And they have worked so hard. And it's just been a blessing. So thank you all. Thank you, every single one of you.
As we light the chalice in the sanctuary, I invite you to light a chalice in your home. We light the chalice to these words from Linda Paston's poem, Imaginary Conversation. You tell me to live each day as if it were my last. But why the last? I ask, why not live each day as if it were the first? All raw astonishment, Eve rubbing her eyes awake that first morning. Please stand as you are able and join me in reciting the mission statement. It is written in your order of service and it is on the screen. At South Church, we nurture spiritual growth through worship, learning, and community. We celebrate the worth and dignity of all people and inspire one another to act on our faith in the larger community. Thank you. So how about that question posed in the chalice lighting? Why not live each day as if it were the first? All raw astonishment, Eve rubbing her eyes awake at that first morning. Why not? What would our lives feel like if we were to live each day as if it were the first? I love watching small children experiencing a small wonder for the first time. Their astonishment at the croaking of a frog or the bright yellow of a daffodil. Their eyes wide, their mouths rounded, shrieks of surprise and delight, running to us to share their discovery. What if, instead of thinking, I've seen that before, I know that, nothing special. What if we look again with fresh awareness? Perhaps we will see how this frog croaks deeper, with more resonance than we remembered, or this daffodil's yellow is infused with orange and has a wonderful fragrance. What if we looked again with new awareness at all the wonders of each day? And what if we responded to the awareness with interest and joy and curiosity? Is this what awakening might look like? A continuous experiencing of life as it expresses itself to us in the natural world, in our relationships, in our communities, in our spiritual life. Rachel Carson, in her book, A Sense of Wonder, writes, "A child's world is fresh and new and beautiful, full of wonder and excitement. It is our misfortune that for most of us, that clear-eyed vision, that true instinct for what is beautiful and awe-inspiring, is dimmed and even lost before we reach adulthood." She goes on to say that if she had influence with the good fairy who is supposed to preside over the christening of all children, she would ask that her gift to each child in the world be a sense of wonder so indestructible that it would last throughout life, as an unfailing antidote against the boredom and disenchantment of later years, the alienation from the sources of our strength. So what if that good fairy presided over yours and my christening, and that every day we woke up to our own indestructible sense of wonder? And what if we used this sense of wonder to nourish our own awakening each and every day? Please rise as you are able, and you can follow along as our South Church Choir sings our opening music, number 38, Morning is Broken.
Ooh, I hear sound from here. Good, good. All right. This is, well, before I start with this, I want to thank all of the youth who made the, well, I don't want to thank them. Karma, my dog, wants to thank all of the youth who made the doggy biscuits. She just loves them. She asked me to get more, and I understand that there are more, so make sure, because Karma is going to be waiting at home for the doggy biscuits. She particularly likes the ones with the frosting. So, any who made that, thank you. All right. So I have a story to share. It's an interactive story. I need everybody. We have some helpers here. And in your order of service are some words to go along with the story. I wrote this story with my director of religious education. Her name was Kirsty Johnson in Leominster, Massachusetts, many years ago, as spring was approaching, as it is now. I think it is, and maybe we can help it a little tiny bit. So, you ready, everybody? Okay, hide your words for a second. All right. So, you all ready? Okay. I was walking down the street, talking to myself. I sometimes do that. My, it seems like spring. Well, it's taking a long time to get here this year. Winter has been so long and so cold, I don't believe spring will ever come. Yet, as I was walking and talking to myself, as I sometimes do, I noticed that the winter snow was melting away. And there, underneath the snow, were little crocus, just about ready to burst up. The little crocus were just about ready to bloom. I just love crocus. They're surely a sign that winter is leaving. Why, those crocus were melting under the snow and growing under the snow all along. A robin. I had just seen the very first robin of spring. That meant winter is really leaving. First the snow melts, and then the crocus come up, and then the robins. And I wonder what sign of spring I'll see next. And eagerly, I continued my walk. It was amazing how much better I was feeling. When I had left the house, I was unhappy, not just because I had stepped into a puddle of melting snow. No, I was sure that winter was going to stick around forever. Feels like that some winters, doesn't it? But somewhere between the crocus and the robin, I found that spring was slipping in on quiet cat's paws. Sometimes you have to look carefully to see it, but all at once the snow is melted and the spring flowers are all in bloom, from the crocus to the tulips, and spring is in the air once again. And as I turned the corner, a branch from, guess what? A pussy willow. I can't wait to tell everyone that I found a pussy willow right near my home. So close. So close to the house, too. Oh, it feels so soft and fuzzy. It's hard to imagine that just in a few weeks, those fuzzy little pussy willows will be long and shiny green leaves. Carefully, I plucked one pussy willow, and I put it in my pocket, and the flowers didn't even get knocked off. Oh my, I'm so happy I've seen all those wonderful signs of spring. First, the melting snow, and then the crocus, and then the robin, and now the pussy willows. If only I heard the beepers, then I would know that spring is truly here, and it is coming. Thank you. Which one is that?
Before we pass the plate, our April shared plate recipient is CASA New Hampshire, and Suzanne Lentz is here to speak about it.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Suzanne Lenz. I'm the Director of Development at CASA of New Hampshire. This is Lisa Brown, who's our advocate, our beloved advocate. I just wanted to thank you so much for the past couple of years. The shared plate has enabled us to advocate for many, many neglected and abused children in this part of the state, in Portsmouth. It's been such a blessing to the children that we serve, and I just want to thank you so much. So Lisa's going to share a little bit more about our work, and thank you so much.
Good morning. Thank you, Suzanne. So CASA is a pretty phenomenal organization, but I wanted to just take a moment to go through the specifics of what it is, and then I'd love to tell just a very, very brief synopsis of the case that I just am completing. So in cases of abuse and neglect, every single one of us are mandated reporters. So if we witness something that we think could be abuse or neglect, we have the obligation to call the state protective services. If the assessment deems that the report is justifiable and we need to protect that child, they go to a court and a judge rules for protective services. At that point, CASA is called in, and we are there to represent the child. The state has lawyers, the parents have lawyers, and the child has a CASA. So what we do is we get to know that kid, and we tell the judge what is in the child's best interest. We meet with their biological parents, their foster parents, their daycare workers, their therapists, and we write reports to tell the judge what we think is the best for their outcome. I've been involved in a case for 2.5 years, and this actually started about 1 mile from here, 1 mile from here in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. 2 children were left on numerous occasions in the middle of the night, 2 years and 3 years old. So I met the kids, and I've been visiting with them, going to the court, and I just will share with you that it's been hard, but they're very special children, and we have been able to advocate for a permanent solution, and they are going to thrive and continue with a positive lifestyle with their foster family. So thank you for everything you do. It's a truly special gift to be able to provide such a positive outcome for a child.
Thank you.
So now it is time for the offering and time for us to support all the good works and programs of this church and of CASA New Hampshire. There are many ways to give. Please go to our website, southchurch-uu.org, for more information. And please give as you are able. Your donation helps us to live our mission. The offering will now be gratefully received.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing, yes, a river that's flowing. There's a river flowing in my soul.
Sorry, that's the wrong key. Let's just try that again.
I'm going to invite you now into a time of meditation and prayer. I have a reading for us this morning written by Reverend Teresa Ninan Soto. It is titled Reversals of Fortune. People wake up to ordinary days all the time, and then somehow, as though things were just too peaceful, they experience drastic reversals of fortune. The car resting on its roof, the fall, the broken bone, the less than hoped for grade, the broken heart when a pet dies. You get it. You never know what's in a day. Except you. You are the golden thread running through. I know that these reversals will test you. You may move through, burdened with a fresh, wet grief. Or for now, you may arrive at this moment unscathed. What you need to know is that there is nothing larger than the love that is your destiny. And the love may at times feel opaque and distant, like a looming thunder cloud, too far to reach. If that's too hard to locate, find your breath, a thread of your life. Find your community, friendly face and open hand. What's true is that some changes call for every skill we possess. The deeper truth remains. Changes will eventually change. Let your heart flex. Let it grow. Allow a reversal to be a moment in which you are the constant, while you give yourself kindness and heaping joyful love. I invite you to come forward if you have a candle you would like to light for a joy or a concern in your heart, or you can sit and just listen to some music. Awakening to nature. The lamb pictured on the order of service this morning is named Nutella. He was just born this week at Sturgeon Creek Farm in Elliott. I'm hoping to head up there to meet him later today. Baby lambs are a familiar sign of spring's arrival for me. Growing up on a farm, this time of year was always a time of awakening. After months of cold, quiet waiting, there is heightened energy and excitement. You don't know when the next set of twins or triplets will be born. Farmers set alarms in the middle of the night to go check on expectant mothers-to-be. Springtime means bottle feeding every 2 hours, scooping up shivering newborns born in a late season snow, nestling them under heat lamps,
So many tiny baby cries, wobbly legs, whispered coos from friends coming by to peek at the new ones, as worried mamas make low sounds to signal their baby they are standing guard. On a farm, spring is a visceral awakening. You develop a practice, a way of being in that time. Your sleep schedule adjusts, and you're always watching for signs of change. A ewe standing off by herself means something different in this season. There are stacks of barn towels at the ready and fresh bedding in stalls, and always in your mind is an awareness that struggle is possible, even death, complications during labor or after it. The expectations are high, and life feels charged and in motion. In many ways, like Hilary's reflection, it's new, it's fresh, it's full of wonder. But it's more than that, too. Year after year, as you experience this season, it changes. Still new, but it also becomes heavy with knowing. It settles deep into your body. It awakens memories as much as it brings new awareness. You compare one year to another, recognize more and more details, worry about what can happen, and feel fortified by what you've learned in years past. Every season, you're just a little bit more prepared. Over time, the feeling becomes something much different than the first spring. And that first wonder is also still in you. That, for me, is a fascinating thing. When I was young, awakening felt singular, linear. Each new thing seemed like a step forward, an addition to the accumulation of experiences. But over the years of my life, awakening has shown itself to be much more cyclical, something that comes and recedes and comes again. Another poem by Linda Paston, April. A whole new freshman class of leaves has arrived. On the dark, twisted branches we call our woods, turning green now, color of anticipation. In my 76th year, I know what time and weather will do to every leaf. But the camellia swells to ivory at the window, and the bleeding heart bleeds only beauty. Awakening to the body. Awakening can come softly, like the coming spring leaves, but it can also be jarring, like a dam bursting, awareness flooding over us. We sometimes welcome awakening to something new, but we can also be reluctant or resist it with intensity. When I was pregnant with my first child, I was teaching in an elementary school during the day, and I was in grad school at night. I had not planned on being pregnant. I remember those 10 months as a hustle, trying to finish school before the baby arrived, keeping my eyes on the step right in front of me, knowing if I picked my head up, that the magnitude of what I was trying to fit in to too little time would knock me over. My last classes were set to end on a Friday, and I had signed up for a day-long childbirth class the following Tuesday. The baby was due 4 days after that, all scheduled neatly in my class planner. The baby came early. I'm sure that you are as surprised as I was. It turns out that scheduling tightly around childbirth wasn't exactly a reliable plan, which I should have known, having grown up on a farm. I went into labor late at night, and at the start I just thought it was cramps. I hadn't taken that class yet. I took a bath. My husband was sleeping. A friend was visiting, also asleep in the guest room. As I laid in the bath, I started to notice these cramps were happening at a very regular interval. First, about 10 minutes apart, but soon closer to 8 minutes. They started to hurt more, and as time passed, the intensity of those cramps grew, and I started to panic a bit, pacing around the house. I woke my husband. Actually, I started hitting him really hard with a pillow. Not a gentle awakening. And as he woke up and realized I was in labor, he did something amazing. It seemed amazing at the moment. He reminded me to breathe. He put his hand on my back and he said, "Breathe." I knew that. I had known that breathing and childbirth were connected. I knew that since I was a kid. Lamaze and the 70s. When you grow up in the 70s, you knew about breathing. But when I started going into labor, I completely forgot to breathe. I tightened up and I held my breath. And that is the worst thing you can do when you are in pain, because you are literally holding on to the pain. So when my husband put his hand on my back and said, "Breathe," I awakened to a whole new understanding about what that meant. As I started to breathe, I could feel the pain draw back. I could feel my body relax. All at once, I knew what the next few hours were going to ask of me, and I felt like I had been handed the tool I would need. It was a flood, not a gentle awakening, and it was all a part of such a wonderful moment in my life, the birth of a child. But in the years since, that same lesson about pain and breath has returned again and again. There's something I've learned sitting on the edge of my bed that night, just hours before my first child would come into this world. Whether it is a physical pain or an emotional pain, when pain comes into our bodies, or when we discover it living there quite comfortably, we can tend that pain with our minds and our breath. Recognize that we have an inclination to tighten around pain. Notice where it's living in your body. Breathe into it. Try to relax the muscles. Try to let it go. We're not born knowing how to navigate the pain and the hurt of this world. It is in facing challenging moments that we discover the paths forward through hardship and how to face this world. It's an awakening to something larger than ourselves. Poet Naomi Shihab Nye writes, "Sometime there is a day. Sometimes there is a day you just want to get far away from Sometimes there is a day. Sometimes there is a day you just want to get far away from. Feel it shrink inside you like an island, as if you were on a boat. I always wish to be on a boat. Then maybe no more fighting about land. I want that day to feel as if it never happened, when Ahmaud was burned, when people were killed, when my cousin was shot. The day someone went to jail is not a day that shines. I want to have a clear mind again. As a baby who stares at the light wisping through the window and thinks, that's mine. Awakening the spirit. The Muslim month of Ramadan began yesterday as the moon phase renewed. Across the globe, nearly 2 billion people will spend this next lunar month engaged in deep reflection, Most will fast throughout the day and come together at night with their families or friends to break fast with a meal called iftar after sun sets. Because the Islamic religious calendar is a lunar calendar, a year is about 10 days shorter than the solar calendar. And so this holy time of Ramadan moves through all 4 seasons slowly over the course of about 30 years. Ramadan season changes from spring to summer to autumn to winter and back to spring. That feels meaningful. In an average lifetime, a Muslim person might practice Ramadan through 2 or 3 cycles of the seasons. Ramadan is a time of reawakening. During this month, Muslims recommit their faith and their devotion to Allah and practice sacrifice through fasting and by giving of themselves in service to others. And with Ramadan landing in this spring season, it overlaps with the Christian practice of Lent, not dissimilar in what it calls Christians toward a time of reflection, of sacrifice and recommitment. And in the Northern Hemisphere springtime, it all seems like a powerful convergence. Billions of people right now setting new intentions, welcoming rebirth, reflecting on their faith, stretching themselves to meet the call of this moment, all at the same time. Here at South Church, many of us are also participating in an April awakening practice where we are committed to sit somewhere in nature for 10 minutes a day, each day this month. If you haven't already joined us, you can start today. I like thinking about how, as we sit, we're in the company of so many others, also engaged in a practice of renewal. Our experiences of awakening are powerful and lasting moments. They offer a sense of connection to nature, to our bodies, to the universe, and the mystery of it all. Awakening involves accepting things as they are while we remember and imagine what they can be. There is a release that happens in awakening, not a release of our responsibility to face what's in front of us, but a release of what is holding us back from taking the next step. A release of stagnance, maybe, or guilt, or pain, or sadness, or disbelief, something. And also an embrace of new breath, of possibility, of witness and growth. We are a species of meaning makers. What meaning will come from this moment? In this time of awakening, how can we get out of our own way to receive what is here for us to discover? How can we find our breath and release whatever pain we're holding? Let us return to our sense of wonder and welcome the lessons we have learned in years past as they come back alive today. Let us walk into this day open to its possibility. Let us remember that there is always more to discover. The Turning by Kiana Dene Perkins. At the last turning, I was invited to a meeting among the sun, the earth, and the moon. The sun asked, "Do you have space in your heart for a great light?" The earth said, "I will hold you down if you are willing." The moon said, "I will guide you if you need it." And it was easy to say yes to the energies of balance. So for a turning, we have found ourselves dancing. The sun took the lead, sharing a drop of their luminescence. I held it deep in my heart when the darkness loomed, held it on the tip of my fingers when others called for it. coming to understand space, becoming a beacon, learning the nuance of shadow and light. The earth kept her word. I was planted deep and rooted hard. I was uprooted, replanted, and loved until I was healed and able to feel the small tug of soil calling me down, demanding I grow again. And the moon, a sister auntie, stayed faithful at my side, always hovering, always playing, laughing, reminding me that joy takes many forms and keeps no schedule, reassuring me with loving pats and, "Oh, child," whispered commentary. A subtle and wanted companion on this journey, and the turning is coming again. The sun said, "Daughter, you have done well." The earth said, "Healer who is still healing, you always have home." The moon said, "Beloved shadow worker, we will cast new spells soon." We radiate the light, we rotate the life, we revolve back into love. We enter a new season of possibilities. I invite you to stand with me to sing our closing hymn. Hymn number 298.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
One last poem for our benediction, written by Alicia Susskind-Ostreicher. Awakening. It can take a lifetime, says the old woman. It can take a single deep kiss, says the red tulip. Time to take a nap, says the dog. Blessed be.
Now the green blade riseth from the buried grain, wheat that in the dark earth many days has lain. Love lives again, that with the dead has been. Love is come again, like wheat that springeth green. In the grave they laid him, loved by him. hearts